We shared with you on several occasions where at this parish, the first Saturday of every month, myself and about 24 other people kind of hit the streets, knocking on random doors. We call that cold visits, to see if they're Catholic and invite them back to Mass. But about once a month also, we go to people's house that we know are Catholic. Maybe we have their addresses or somebody has given us their address, and we just get in our car and go to their house. We call those hot visits because they're already Catholic. But we also have a name for that. We call it fishing. We go fishing. And the hook is us. And in the ancient world, to go fishing, they use the net. But nowadays, when someone says they go fishing, usually they mean there's a hook. You know, because God used Jonah in the city of Nineveh to bring them to the faith, to bring them to repentance. And Lord of Lords, it worked. It worked, even though he was a little bit reluctant. But I would also say, when we hear from Jesus telling the disciples, "Come with me, and I'll make you fishers of men," that he still says that to us, and he says that to you too. He says that to you too. That all of you are asked to encourage, defend, and invite, especially men, young men, to consider the priesthood, or young ladies to consider consecrated life. Now you may think, well, Father, I'm grown, and my kids are all married, or whatever. We have to provide the energy. We have to provide the energy and to be encouraging. In 1992, 93, I had a girlfriend. That's right, I used to be a regular guy, just a regular guy. And I remember telling her name was Sharon, that I think about becoming a priest sometimes. And then she said, after about 5 or 6 seconds, she said, "I think you'd be great. I think you'd be great." That relationship ended. But 13 years later, her and her father came to my ordination. She had gotten married and had several kids by then, but she came to my ordination. I also remember telling people that I was thinking about priesthood, and somebody said, "Oh, they're going to call you Father What a Waste." I was thinner and had more hair back then, though. But all of you have a role, and I think it comes down to, even if you don't have any children, or even know many young people. Because I think one of the things that we priests do well on your behalf is we defend marriage. We're always having to defend what real marriage is. Well, we're hoping that you can defend us. Priestly life, celibate life. And then when someone asks you, why do God calls priests father? Can you answer that? Why are you a priest? Why don't they get married? Can you answer that? To become educated and see what a gift all of that is. Why are they only men priesthood? That's where it's up to you to create energy, to be an apologist for married life and priestly life. Because I think the world needs celibacy more than ever. Nothing breaks a priest's heart more than when one of his own flock says, "I really wish they'd let you guys get married. Don't wish that on me. Don't wish that on me. I don't wish celibacy on you." But if you're called to that life, that's what you'll be most happy at. You'll be most happy at. Now, having said that, I think it's fair to at least share with you the actuality of the numbers when someone goes off to seminary. Because the truth is, when someone goes off to seminary, they are not always ordained. In fact, they probably won't be ordained. Most men who go off to seminary are not ordained. So let me show you how that happens in real time. If you can put that photo up. This is a picture of my class when I entered the seminary. There's 16 of us. Now this was taken in the fall of 1999 when I was 30 years old. We had just been in the seminary maybe a week and a half, and they took a picture. Now, if you can't find me, on the top, at the far left side, you see that tall and saintly man at the very corner? That's me. That's me. Okay? So, if you stay on the top there, the man second from the far right, 1, 2, 3 on the top, that's Father Victor now. He is a priest in Sulphur Springs, Texas, with the Diocese of Tyler. And that tall and saintly man in the end over there is this pastor of St. Luke in Temple. The rest of the men on this picture are not in priestly ministry. The rest of them either flunked out, dropped out, kicked out, decided to leave. Most of them left and got married. The man in that light brown suit at the top, he left after a year, got married, and his wife had triplets. Boom. Actually, I got a neat story about him. He actually came back and visited us. He actually came back after he had gotten married and had his triplets. And we were talking about the vows that religious make of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And he said, hey guys, if you want to learn about poverty, chastity, and obedience, get married. The man on the far, far right, on top, the little short guy, he's married, has 4 kids, and they just joined our parish. They live in Temple now, and he's in the military, and he has 4 kids. He was at the last Mass. He raised his hand, and everybody kind of looked at him like he was crazy. But I would say to all of you, if I could, I've shared this story before, of one of the times I was most encouraged. There's a lot of discouragement out there. Being in the seminary in 2002 was very discouraging. Every time we turned on the TV, there was a new scandal that broke. It was very hard. A lot of guys left. But I went to my cousin's wedding. I had a cousin who got married. And my cousin married a gentleman who came from a very wealthy family, very successful restaurateurs. Had a string of restaurants. They lived in Chicago, and they lived in the same neighborhood as Mike Singletary and Michael Jordan, and a very rich neighborhood. But when he found out that I was applying to the seminary, or that I was thinking about it even, he called me into the next room. And he said, oh, I heard you're going to seminary or applying for seminary. I said, yeah. I said, and I heard you were in the seminary too. He said, I was. And if I could live my life over again, I would go back. I said, what? I said, you have a beautiful wife, you have wonderful children, and God has given you everything. He goes, no. If I could live my life over again, I would go back. Now, God has blessed him, but he has to live with that something discouraged him, and when something troubling came up, he left. So one of the things we need is real men, normal guys, and courageous men. That if you're called to this, God will put you through all kinds of trials, and hopefully that will make better priests. But all of you have a role in this. So we had some cards in the pews. A lot of them are gone by now. But in the bulletin, there's a little QR code. And if you go online, you can go to that vocations page. If you know someone who you think would make a good priest or even sister, put their name in there. Put their contact. You don't even need to tell the person, hey, I sent your name off to the diocese. Don't tell them that. But Father Greg Gerhardt will contact them. He will contact them. Now, most of those people that he will contact will probably say, ooh, where'd you get my name? No, Father, I ain't doing that. But some might say yes, some might. The first time I ever felt the call to the priesthood was on the day of my confirmation. We were about to be confirmed. We were in the 8th grade in those days. Bishop Harris, right before he was about to confirm us, he was walking around the pews, walking around the aisles, and he said, somebody here is called to priesthood or religious life. And I remember being so upset, thinking, oh God, he's talking to me. And then when that Mass was over, I never thought about it again until I was in college. You heard the bishop. These calls come at various times in people's lives. But by the time I got to college, there was a community there that was encouraging, that was praying and pointing me in different directions. We all have a role to play. Make sure you know that you can be those hooks. And all of us, when Jesus says, and he says it to you too, come with me. When you're a disciple of Christ, when you follow him, he says it to you too, come with me, and I'll make you fishers of men.